Hey, everyone. Thank you so much for your patience with me today and welcome to Coffee Time. It's coffee time. I'm Rhonda, uh, also known as the Mobility Maestro. And just coming to talk to you just for a few minutes here, just a little bit about, well, this week's topic is the Coffee Time Five, the five questions that every mobility leader should be able to answer. So, we're going to go into some detail about that today for you. Like I said, welcome back. Grab your cup of Joe and join me because it's coffee time. Sip, sup. So, as you know, every Tuesday we spend a few minutes to help enterprise leaders make sense of mobility, of governance, and of operational complexity. And over the past month, we've talked about complexity, we've talked about visibility, governance, and confidence. Today, I want to make everything practical. So leaders don't get paid to admire dashboards, they get paid to make decisions, right? And those decisions are only as good as the confidence behind them. So today, I'd like to introduce you to a framework I like to call the Coffee Time Five. These aren't the only five questions that leaders should ask, but if you can answer any of these five questions with confidence, you're usually operating from a position of strength. So let's take a look real quick at our handy dandy little deck, and we're going to make this really simple and easy for everyone to see and follow along. As always, you're going to see a QR code. Whenever you do see that QR code, feel free to scan that and get on my calendar. But as it says here, of the Coffee Time Five, the first one we want to talk about is visibility. Okay, visibility. The question is, do we know exactly what we have? As it says there on your screen, confidence begins with visibility. So if I ask five people in your organization, would I get the same answer? Would I receive five different spreadsheets? So visibility isn't about inventory, it's about trusting what you're looking at. Confidence begins with visibility. So ask yourself the question, maybe even take it upon yourself to ask five people within your organization um, some questions, those key questions. And the first one's about visibility, and see, are you going to get the same answers? Are you going to get the same spreadsheets? Will your team work together to come up with the same answer? Will it take meetings and time to get that information, or is it something that's readily available? That tells you a lot about where your organization is in terms of your ability to get to these items quickly, and where the need is within the organization for some operational tightening up, right? So let's move on to the next slide. The next slide and the next item in the top five, Coffee Time Five, is ownership. Who owns every stage of the life cycle? As I say here, ownership creates accountability, right? So if somebody knows that they own that, they know that people are looking for answers from them for that particular thing, then they know that they're accountable for it. But if nobody knows who owns what, then there's nobody accountable for it. And probably the answers you need, the questions that you need to have answered, are not being handled by anyone. So who owns what? Who owns every stage of the life cycle. Especially right now, what we're talking about is mobility, although this applies to operational excellence and operational governments and governance in general. In this particular instance, who owns every stage of the life cycle? Have you asked the question, where are we spending more time than we should? Have you looked into that? Have you found that? Have you put your finger on where you might be spending more time than you should? Ownership and cost usually travel together. So if there's nobody owning something that is a key item for your organization, then it's probably costing you something. If it's not costing you wasted time, if it's not costing you for just not knowing, because what you don't know can cost you, then it could literally be costing you in leakage and money going out the window or down the toilet that you don't know a thing about. So ownership creates accountability. And that is one of the key questions that you and your organization should be asking: who owns every stage, right? The next key question of the Coffee Time 5 is stewardship. Where are we spending our time? Or where should we be spending more time, right? Stewardship creates discipline. And so you want to look at, are your team spending their times in the right places? Are they doing the right things with the time that's giving? We all get the same amount of time in the day. Nobody's going to be working 24 hours a day. And are we spending time on the right things? And sometimes that means less meetings. Sometimes it means more meetings. But when you marry ownership and stewardship, you know who owns what, and are they spending the right amount of time, the right amount of resources, and even sometimes money to get the job done as excellently and efficiently as possible? Then you know where you are with that. If they are, then wonderful. Your team is probably operating at a high level, and higher level than some organizations are, right? So as we say, stewardship does create that discipline. So my number one recommendation is every aspect of the life cycle, every aspect of operational disciplines within your organization, know who owns it and let them ensure that they know that they own it. Check on the stewardship and ensure that they are stewarding it properly. Okay. What are they doing with their time? And you don't have to babysit them. You don't have to be over their shoulder, but know what they're doing with their time, even if that's a weekly report that you get on Fridays or Mondays. Understand what's happening within your organization and where some tweaking. It's all about tweaking it for excellence. It's not about being punitive or trying to see who's not doing their job. It's about being, that's all getting better at what we're doing. Okay. So the next of the top five is risk. What represents our biggest operational risk? That's the question that an organization or most leaders should be asking right now. Do you have your finger on the pulse of that? Because risk is best when it's measured. Do you know what your risks are? Do you know what your biggest risks are? And what are you doing to mitigate those risks? Could our current process support twice the growth? That's a good question because what organization doesn't want to scale? I mean, I guess there are some that are happy where they are, but most organizations want to scale. So then the question is, could our current processes support twice the growth? So growth doesn't create chaos, but it does reveal it. So if your current processes can't support twice the growth, then look at where you need to reinforce some things, where you need to flesh out some things, and maybe build out solutions that will support twice or maybe even three times the growth, right? The real question isn't whether your organization can't back that up. The real question isn't whether or not your organization can grow. The real question is whether your processes can grow with it. Do you know that? And that is actually, I've kind of married the two here, risk and scale. So, risk is about knowing what your biggest risks are and knowing what those risks are associated specifically with scale. and if your organization can scale. If it can scale, can it support twice the growth? And so growth reveals maturity. How mature is your organization? Are you ready for that next step? So we've talked about growth. We've talked about how risk and scale work together. And as I mentioned, the real question is not whether your organization can grow; it's whether the processes can grow with it. And so the next question is scale. I'm sorry that was apologies. It's been quite a day already. The fifth of the questions was scale, which we have discussed. So let's just back up a little bit and make sure that we recap all of those. The first question you're asking is visibility. Do we know exactly what we have? The second question every leader should be asking is about ownership. Who owns every single stage of the life cycle? The third question every leader should be asking is about stewardship. Where are we spending more time than we should? Where are we spending more money than we should? Where are we spending more resources than we should? And stewardship, when done right, becomes accomplishment. It is accomplishment in the flesh, and it's a beautiful thing. The fourth question that every leader should be asking in the Coffee Time 5 is about risk. What represents our biggest operational risk? And as we know, risks is best measured. It must be measured. And then the last of the Coffee Time 5 questions that every leader should be asking is about scale. Could our current processes support twice the growth? And as we mentioned, growth reveals maturity. So, the Coffee Time cup test. Would you trust every answer you gave? Would you even trust it? This framework isn't about devices, dashboards, or reports. It's about confidence. The quality of your decisions will never exceed the quality and the quantity of your confidence in those answers. If today's conversation exposed one or two areas that you'd like to pressure test, get on my calendar. And that's exactly what we're doing during a device clarity brief, right? So I'm speaking with organizations, and you can scan that QR code to get on my calendar. I'm speaking with organizations about what's happening within their organization. Do you have clarity around your mobility solutions today? We'll apply the Coffee Time 5 to your environment and identify opportunities to improve clarity. We'll look at opportunities to improve governance. And we will also look at opportunities to improve operational confidence and excellence. So, as said, as always, I really, really appreciate your time here. I thank you for spending part of your morning with me. We only want to take 15 to 20 minutes of your day here to talk through it. But if today's conversation was valuable, please share it with another leader. And if we're not connected on LinkedIn yet, let's change that. Remember, the quality of your decisions will never exceed the quality and quantity of your confidence in the answers. So, what I like to do is help enterprise leaders make sense of mobility, governance, and operational complexities. And I like to do that one sip at a time. Again, thank you so much for your time today. Sips up. Until next week, same time.